All right, here we are, episode 2
Episode 2.
of the assistant desk. And we're fired up to welcome Cole Pecora from UMass Amherst men's lacrosse. Cole, we've coached against each other. We've hung out on a lot of sidelines. We're fired up to have you on the podcast. And yeah, man, welcome.
Welcome, man.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'm excited to talk shop with you guys.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, like we talked about, just trying to promote assistant coaches and, kind of talk shop, talk life, talk the grind of an assistant coach. And, like I said, excited to have you here. And, yeah, I mean, we can get right into it. If you're ready, we're ready.
Yeah, fire away, man.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I really,
Awesome. Well,
really
listen.
don't have anything to talk about.
All right. Awesome. Well, I want to give you kind of the floor to intro yourself. One thing, that we know as assistants, all of us here, the journey of the stops along the way are definitely something that we all have, right? So I want to give you a little bit of time here, kind of give us your rundown of your coaching, roadmap, if you will. Where when you started coaching, where it was, with who, and how you got to UMass Amherst.
Yeah. Proud alum of Springfield College. So played under Bugby for 4 years.
You
It's hard
guys are
not to consider.
everywhere.
I know.
You guys are everywhere. Sorry, go ahead.
It's really a club, but it's
A good
hard not
club
to
too. I'd
consider.
like to point that out.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Let the record show, a good club for sure.
Yeah, matters who you ask, but I think um when you're at Springfield, it's hard not to consider getting into coaching.
Right.
So like, in college, I was doing the coaching club, high school, and doing all that stuff while everybody else was kind of doing their internships. And then it was about my end of my junior year. It was actually Bugby and Ryan Lynch. They brought up if I would consider getting into coaching, and it was something that I didn't really consider much of as a career. But then, when I really thought about what I really love to do, that's that was always consistent. It was always playing lacrosse and then playing as much as I could over the summer and then coaching. So did what a lot of guys did and, reached out to like 15 coaches my senior year. And oddly enough, like John Raba was the only guy to get back to me. And he was like, it's a part-time gig. It's not even like a GA spot yet. And but if you want to join, you're more than welcome. So fortunately, I was like 30 minutes from home, and I was able to live at home for the first year and really just work at Wesleyan, get my feet wet, get a lot of responsibility with them. And then after 3 years, learned a lot from John, Will Pilot, Will Parker. It was like, just like a great group of guys to really have your first experience with. And
Sure.
from there, I just loved it. And so fortunately, I was able to get a volunteer spot at Bryant with Brad Ross and Chris Gabrielli, Travis Harrington. When Brad took over after Pressler retired, I was there for 2 years. And then after my second year there, that's when director of like player development, that position really opened up. So UMass had a spot open, and the connection that Coach Gabs had with UMass, he put in a good word for me to Coach Canella, and had the interview, went up, and was fortunate to be hired by him. At the time, didn't know it would be his last year. I thought I'd get more
Yeah.
time to coach, but lucky enough to be hired by him. And then when he retired, Kyle was kind of dumb enough to keep me on staff. So I just finished my second year at UMass. So really fortunate to be around a lot of great guys in the profession, and still in it for as
No,
long as
that's
I
great,
can be.
man.
That's awesome, man. No, I gotta be honest, I didn't know the Wesleyan thing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you look at like where you've come and where you've stopped along the way, right? So now you've been a part of 2 programs that are kind of, I don't want to say transitioning, right? But the guy that's been there for years and years and years has moved on, retired, right? And new coach comes in, head coach comes in, and you get on that staff. What's something that you see similar to kind of Kyle taking over for Canella and Brad taking over for Pressler that you spotted because you've gone through it now for a second time, And maybe like what's something different, or just talk to a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting just because, they both were in the same position, but also in different position. Just because Brad came in, he was at Navy prior and had to come into like a new program and really
Hmm.
establish like his culture, his environment, his beliefs, all those things. And Kyle, he was an assistant for 4 years and opposite played there, and really honestly, he's really his family is like the brand of
His
UMass.
family is UMass. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally. So, um, it was two different experiences, but both of them, I would just say, just did such a great job of being themselves. I think Brad, he was very smart coach.
Yeah.
Really thoroughly thought of every decision he was going to make, how he was gonna really get the guys to buy into his beliefs. Um, and having Travis Harrington there, Chris Gabbs there as just great guys to lean on, and me just to really be honest, like really not mess up too much, learn a lot, vibe with the guys. It was a good transition just because I think Brad has a really good way of um, winning over a crowd just by showing his passion, showing how much he cares, showing how much he knows the game. So that's something I really took away from him. But Kyle, on the other hand, he recruited all those guys.
Yeah.
He knew the guys. He coached them for the past 3 years prior. Same thing with the freshmen incoming.
Yep.
Everybody knew him. I think Kyle just did a phenomenal job of continuing to be himself, not trying to be somebody different just because of his new title.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something that I always want to emulate, not changing who you are, like what your beliefs are, how you are around the guys just because of, your title. And he's still, the goofball that you guys know. He's still laid back. And I will say, you don't always expect it from him, but he does put so much thought into every decision he's going to make. He
Right.
knows what the right move is for UMass. He knows the type of guys that are attracted here. He knows the type of guys like personalities that are going to really mesh here when recruiting. So just being around him and knowing what I know he's going to bring and success in the future. Yeah, just both those guys were just like great to learn from, and they did in their own ways, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
never know
And
what.
as a staff at UMass, right, and because that's the most
Yeah,
fresh one, right? As a staff at UMass, is it kind of like is there a weight to taking over and being that new complete staff that's going to bring UMass into this new era, right, into the Kyle Smith era or whatever it may be, and
yeah,
like how do you feel like personally? And then like have you guys ever talked about that in the office? Like, hey, we have a legacy to uphold, right? Because we all know Greg's a phenomenal guy. Hope he's enjoying
yeah,
retirement, right? But is there something, definitely a prideful thing, right, to take that
yeah,
over. But,
yeah,
is there a sense of weight that comes along with it? Like heavy wears the crown?
yeah. I mean, I think it's probably an unsaid thing.
Yeah,
Um, I think there's weight whenever you get a new position, no matter where it is. I will say, um, Kyle being in his position, especially with Gav's back, knowing how UMass way really is, being a player, coaching
that's right.
there. Gabs has been like a huge help in regards to just like being a great mentor to a first year head coach like Kyle. Um, and I think it's been brought up. It's kind of like been a little bit unsaid, but I wouldn't say that there's wear and tear on staff or on Kyle because of it. And honestly, it helps a lot too that Coach Cannella has been a great supporter of the guys like this year. He doesn't. It's not like he has like this great you know thought of like you need to like you know build
Do
it
X,
to
Y, or
like
Z,
this,
yeah,
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 like build to this standard. And I think the alumni honestly have done a great job just you know being a supporter of Kyle, giving back to the program, coming out to the games, win or lose. I think you know we've really felt like there's a good pride from the alumni, and
it's
just
awesome.
continue to support us. But I wouldn't be lying if from me personally, I would think that it's probably like no, like let's are we allowed to swear? I don't know if we're
Yeah,
allowed to swear.
you
But
could
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In my mindset, it's kind of like no, it's like let's fucking do this,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think we took like a good step this year, just with the season, but
for sure.
it's a lot returning and what the future holds. I think we can definitely keep
But you
building
guys
off
are
it.
still very much the tough, physical, run you up and down the field team. Trust me, we both know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's hard to kind of shy away from that, no matter
Well,
what. I
that's
think
the
that's part of
identity,
the
right?
color.
That's part of
Yeah.
the culture. Exactly who you guys are, which has been there for many years and many years to come by the style of guys you recruit, how you guys coach, how you guys practice, all of that stuff. So that's great to hear. Um,
So you said a couple things about the culture, and we obviously everybody knows the talent of UMass Amherst, right?
Yeah.
Always brings onto the field. So when you guys are a little bit of a recruiting situation, your question, when you guys are on the recruiting trail here, like what matters most? Is it talent or is it the culture fit?
Um,
What matters the most to you guys, or to you? You know what I mean? You can answer it both ways.
I mean, I think the longer I'm here, I don't think we don't have a problem, going out and seeing talent. I think there's talent everywhere, regardless if it's like
Mhm.
New England, Long Island, Maryland,
Sure.
Midwest, whatever. Um, Kind of going back to what I said before, I think we definitely look into, through the club coaches, high school coaches, but also like when the guys are actually on campus and talking to them. I think we have a good feel on whether or not like he would actually like fit the mold of the program.
Hmm.
And I think that comes more from like Kyle and Gabs. Like I think Kyle says that, a handful of times throughout the summer. It's like, yeah, I don't know if he's like, would he like vibe with like the locker room? Would he vibe with the guys?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know, does he want to get coached hard? Like all those things, just because, these guys are loving, like Gabs is a great guy, but he's on the field, he barks, he's not going to shy
Hmm.
away from anything. And then same thing with Kyle. And honestly, like, myself included, like we're not going to like, sugarcoat a lot of things. And
yeah,
sometimes guys aren't going to always buy into that style of coaching. It's the same thing with the type of guys that we attract here. If you don't bring in the right type of guys, sometimes it doesn't always work out all 4 years. Sometimes the work ethic, the physicality and practice, all those things don't always go that well for them, regardless if like, yeah, I want to be at UMass, I like the academics, all those things. But if the actual standard of what we want from guys in the locker room doesn't really fit, then that kind of shies us away, regardless of how talented they are.
for sure.
Got it. Got it. No, I like that. All right. So kind of staying with the recruiting stuff here, like what's your favorite part of recruiting? Is it, whatever it might be, is it on the sidelines? Is it, watching film with guys? Like what's your favorite you as the coach?
Um, I well, two parts to it, kind of like two opposite ends of the spectrum. The first thing I love is I actually love like building relationships with the guy, like with
Yep.
the player from the beginning, like having the first conversation, seeing if like, the conversation flows a little bit, seeing if we could, we could be a good fit.
Hmm.
And like kind of going past that barrier of just like you're a good lacrosse player. So like the relationship building for getting kids on campus, getting to know them, their families, all that stuff. I honestly genuinely love that part. And kind of building those connections there. And the second part away from the guy, like away from the actual like, you know, recruiting of the players, I honestly love being on the road as much as I do, just because, you know, like the stuff that we're doing right now, like we're having this podcast simply because, we chop it up on the sidelines.
For
And
sure.
Absolutely.
I didn't really know that was like getting into it. I was really naive about coaching as to like how close you are with so many assistant coaches. You know what I mean? Regardless of like, yeah, on the field when you're going against each other for those 60 minutes, yeah, you guys are enemies. But like outside of that, so many of my friends that I consider close are just because of coaching, just because we're all kind of tapped in the same way and like want to do this for a profession. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
I think
totally.
it's a pretty cool dynamic being able to have that and honestly see so many guys in the profession more so than I would see honestly sometimes like my own family, like hometown friends,
Yeah,
all those things. So it's
I
that's
pretty
mean,
part of
cool.
the sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
we're running into each other on the road, like, all right, see
I
you
know.
where you heading? I know where you're heading. All right, I'll see you over there. Yeah, you got it. Like
Yeah.
see you at the next
Yeah.
one. You want to, you know what I mean? We'll get in the cars and get going, or get in the plane and we'll meet there. It's kind of that is, like you said, like a brotherhood of coaches, right? The assistant coaches. That's kind of, again, one of the reasons why I want to do this is just kind of talk to our buddies and let the world know kind of that there is another element to, the game here. It's that assistant coach brotherhood too, which is kind of cool.
for
Yeah, no
sure.
doubt, no doubt.
What's what's one of the hardest parts about being an assistant that you don't think the parents of the guys on the team or family members, people that you know, what's the hardest part about being an assistant that people don't see?
Um, there's not really like, I mean, like whatever I do say, I'm not gonna say it in a way like where I don't love my job. So I'm really
No, it
fortunate to be where I am. But honestly, I just think you don't realize how many different hats you need to wear as an assistant.
that's
Like,
right.
just like just with like lacrosse, let's say, it's like we we don't have like an equipment manager. We don't have, you know, like a travel coordinator to book everything. We don't have like somebody who just like does the meals for everybody.
Right.
There's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And I wouldn't say it's like hardest stuff, but
Yeah.
when you look at some other sports and you like only have to focus on like the sport you're coaching, the position
Correct.
you're coaching, all those things, it's like it takes a toll on you sometimes, but I think that's only going to help you in the long run.
Oh yeah,
Being able to
getting
be
the buses
organized on like
done,
different
doing the
things.
meals, all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. That's like part of the job that I was gonna say that's what I would say too, is that's part of the job a lot of people don't see, right?
yeah,
Is they see you as a coach and it's like you drop plays, you do practice plans, you blow a whistle, you do those you go recruit, you do those types of things, right? But it's like, yeah, no, we schedule a plane. We
Yeah,
yeah,
schedule
there's
the
there's so
bus.
much
yeah,
more that goes into it that everybody's
yeah,
always like, oh. They just think,
yeah,
poof, and all of a sudden the team shows up in another jersey and you're there to play. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It's like,
yeah. Like
how'd you get
literally,
there? Where'd you sleep? What'd you eat? You know what I
yeah,
mean? There's so much that goes into
yeah,
it that
yeah.
the world doesn't always see.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like my fiance, she was like we played against High Point this year, and we had to fly down there into North Carolina. She was like, "Oh, that's fun. You get to like go to fly to North Carolina. Like it's literally the furthest thing from a vacation. Like it's
Oh,
Yeah,
not.
right.
It's
Yeah.
not.
No,
It's like
that conversation comes up in this house a lot. It's like,
mine
"Oh,
too. Yeah,
nice.
it's like,
yeah,
that's nice. Yeah, it's great.
You get to
Yeah,
go
it's
to Long
awesome.
Island, or
But
you get to go here, you get to go there."
yeah,
It's
we're
like,
getting
"No,
there.
this is work."
Is
yeah,
is the food ordered?
literally.
Is it on its way? Where is it? Where's the bus?
Yeah,
And um again, that is one of the grinds of the job, but it's also the fun part too when it all comes together. And then game day shows up, and you play the game, and you head back, and you know that is definitely the
Yeah,
grind part of it all,
and
which is
that's
cool.
part of,
yeah,
like, the show is, everybody sees game day, but they don't see the behind the scenes stuff, like, that gets you to game day,
yeah,
whether it's the film, the scout, stuff like that. Um, what's like for you when you're recruiting, like, what's 2 or 3 non-negotiables that you have that'll get a guy, like, circled in your book? Or everybody has different ways. Some people are star guys, or they number them. Like, what's 2 or 3 things that you're looking for on the field at every field that you're watching? Or if there's a guy that you gotta go watch specifically, like, what are those 3 things that are like, "Bang, he's a UMass guy. He checked all 3 boxes."
yeah. I mean, the hardest thing is probably. I mean, it's their first position. I mean, I think a good overview is like you have to really see, you know, are they doing the bare minimums of like communicating? Are they playing hard? How do they interact like with their teammates? Um, so I would say like that's like a basic like foundation. Like,
For sure.
are they athletic enough? The physical size, all those things. Like, are they communicating? All those things. Honestly, I think the biggest thing, and honestly, with even with like face-off guys, poles, I really always try to look at their stick and just making sure like, all right, can they like really handle the ball? And especially with face-off guys. I mean, that's more my position that
Yeah.
I'm really focused on coaching. Like a guy can like win the clamp and be strong and maybe athletic, but if it looks like he's holding an egg in a spoon, then it's like,
So any kid
I,
listening, it's not a lie whenever your coach says, "Hit the wall and improve your stick."
dude,
Right?
I mean, and like sometimes those things are overlooked. You're like, oh, he's got like a big ceiling, and you're like,
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
will get better. But it's like, I think the game's just evolving so much. Where like poles, face-off guys. No, I don't care if you're offensive or defensive mid. It's like you can't be like a liability handling the ball in the middle of the field,
Oh, yeah.
especially at this level. And there are a lot of like other things I would say like those are just probably the things that get me, my attention on them from the
Yeah.
beginning, and then from there you're kind of like. really trying to figure out, what type of player he is and kind of almost start to compare and contrast with like other guys in that regard. But
Fair
nothing
play.
like no, nothing too complicated, man.
No
Pretty
earth shattering
straightforward.
thing, but
Yeah,
everybody's different. Like we've talked to people and obviously sidelines and stuff like that, and it's everybody has a different like. No, they have to have this. Like if you want to play O for us, you got to have this, or if you want to play D, you got to be this, or whatever it is. So I always like to just hear what people's thoughts are because everybody recruits
yeah,
differently, right?
yeah,
Whether it's the type of player or where you're at as an institution, like just knowing those things about guys and trying to identify those things, I think is something that we all take pride in, right?
All
yeah.
right. So
Ye-
as an assistant coach, right? Film room or practice field? Where's your spot? Like, where's your dojo? Where are you loving? Obviously we do film, obviously we do practice, but like, if you got a
Yeah,
spot where you're like, I like this better than this for whatever the reason, and don't
practice
say just
field.
because the film room is warmer.
Practice. I would go practice field 100 times out of 100.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like we're really big on um, like having film sessions be whether it's offense, defense, middle of the field. Like film sessions are like never longer than like 15 minutes for us.
Hmm.
And honestly, like 15 minutes, it seems like to be a little bit draggy.
Yeah,
So like with film, it's like I honestly got this from Kyle. We're just being like, just have a theme for your film session. Like, what are you going to focus on? Like 5, 6 clips. That's what you need to take away from this. Because if it goes longer and you're hitting on a lot of different points and you get repetitive, you start talking, and it's like they're only going to grasp so much. And honestly,
it's
I think at the
attention
end of the
span
day,
with the kids.
yeah. And honestly, personally, I think I'm just like a better teacher on the field. Like I'm a visual learner, so like I think me being able to explain it while guys are like moving on the field and kind of like use examples in that way, and also just being able to like kind of use my loud voice on the fields. I'm just more comfortable out there, you know.
Love it. Love it. All right. What's the biggest pet peeve as a coach? If you had to pick, I know we all have our own, and there's really never just one, but whatever it might be. Well, what's the biggest one for Cole?
I was actually laughing with my buddy because you're talking about the new Z helmets
Oh
that
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
pop
yeah.
up.
Those are awesome. Yeah, those are
And we
sweet.
were
Shout out
saying that
Cascade.
like I don't know why it irks me so much whenever kids like pull their helmet up on the field.
I
And like,
knew
Oh yeah.
you were going there.
dude, I'm like, you're literally giving guys excuses just to like have their face masked up all the time.
Oh
But now
man.
like obviously you have like the chin strap on, but I'm like, it's just like something that
Not a knock to the company or anything like that. I don't know
no,
if
no.
like it, if
Look,
if we're in the huddle and it's like a serious situation, like going into overtime or something in
yeah,
practice, something didn't look right, and you want to like kind of get on the guys, and you just see a
yeah.
face just sitting there. I'm like, I don't know if I can
Iron
keep
Man sitting in front of you.
that might snap me
Yeah,
out of it.
literally, literally.
But I'm the same
No,
way though. I don't know why, but like if we're in a huddle or even end of practice
yeah.
and you got the kind of too cool for school helmet up like that drives me nuts. That drives me
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm slowly like it's just a style now. Like guys put the chin strap like over their
Oh
mouth and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
No,
yeah. That's a
I
cool
mean,
one.
like it's like I mean, I'm not gonna be like, yo, put your chin strap on your chin,
yeah,
like all
yeah.
that stuff. But if like we're in a huddle or like if you're on the field and jogging off, you like put your helmet up before you get on the field. I'm like, no, dude, like put your fucking helmet down, like
Keep your helmet
relax.
on your head. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not helping us out with
yeah,
the Z helmet, but that's all right.
No,
yeah. And I
no.
feel like a 50-year-old, like an old timer saying it, but
Oh,
like
No, no,
out
no.
loud, it
That's
irks me.
that's. I think I don't think you're the only one with that. As a pet peeve for sure.
no. What's and I know we're kind of flying through questions and stuff like that, but if there's honestly, if there's anything you want to talk about, feel free to jump in. We don't have to just keep firing at you. But like, like we said, this thing's a lot about just who you are and where you're at and things like that. Kind of looking at whether it's games from this year, games in the past, even when you played, right? There's always that one game or that loss, right? We'll say
Oh,
that loss that keeps you up at night. They're like, hey, we're not letting this happen again. Or, man, if I could go back and do that 2 minutes over again or that one pass or whatever it is, what's a game? Because I see you going deep into thought here. What's a
dude,
game that
I
kind
just
of,
have like so many. I have so many. Like, oh my God. You're gonna put me in like a deep. you're gonna put me in like a deep
Don't
spin.
go to a dark place. Don't if we have to take a minute after, don't go to a dark place.
Honestly, because I'm saying this because I know like they're like a juggernaut in D3 right now.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was at Wesleyan,
Mm-hmm.
we were playing at Tufts, and they were still, they were Tufts. They're just that good. And I remember we were up 11-6 at halftime.
Yep.
This was my last year at Wesleyan, and it was like we were rolling. We were playing really well. And we ended up losing the game 17-15 just
Oof.
because just Tufts did their thing. And I remember like thinking like in game, like they went to zone, and like we were thinking about adjustments. And then like looking back on film, it was just like one of those things like we should have played with like the point gun in their zone more just to get more
Yep.
step
Yep.
downs. But yeah, like we were up 11-6, and yeah, I mean, credit to them. I mean, like, D'Onofrio, like Toomey, all those guys.
Oh
So
yeah, they're phenomenal.
there's a reason why, they're as good as they are, but yeah, only scoring 4 in the second half and then, losing by 2 to a great team like them. I don't know why. Like, part of me is like, dude, someone got to fucking beat those guys. But like, they're just really good, man. Yeah, you gotta tip your cap to them.
No,
But I
for
mean, there's
sure.
obviously other ones, but there's a reason why that one popped up, going all the way back to like 4 years ago.
Oh
Not even
yeah.
like in the Division One round, just going back to dealing with dude, I want that game back for some
Right.
reason.
There's always I feel like that's a hard, like, I asked it, it's a hard question saying just one, but there's
Yeah,
always that handful that, especially if you've been doing this long enough that you're just like, man, that one game, or you won't
yeah,
even, you'll just be randomly thinking about it. You'll be on the sideline, see a guy walk by from that staff that wasn't even there, has nothing to do with that game, and you're just
Right.
like,
yeah,
oh man, if I could go back to 2013 and do this all over, and you're like,
Remember that one time that
yeah,
that inner
yeah,
competitor, man, no matter on the field, out the field, it doesn't, you're not putting the helmet on anymore to flip it up, but it's
yeah,
still
yeah,
that mindset is still obviously still there.
dude.
And
And it's
those,
just like coach put me in the fourth quarter, go to one state, no
yeah,
doubt.
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That same
It's just
concept,
that
right? Yeah.
mentality. It's
We all
that
have that. We all
mentality.
have that mentality, right? No, 100%, no matter
that's
what you
it,
say.
man. That's it.
So what do you think's tougher? This is kind of a weird one. What do you think's tougher? Recruiting or scouting your opponent? Two totally different things, totally different, notebooks on your desk, right? But like, which
Um,
one's tougher?
I think recruiting is personally.
Okay.
Um, Personally, just because I think I'm probably like since like the more that you're in it and you play a lot of same opponents every year, you kind of like know they're just a little bit more. You know what they like to do. You know if they have returners and you went against them in the past, you kind of like this is like who they are and this is what we have to stop or attack, whatever it might be. And then just with recruiting, I don't I don't know. I think it's like you got to go with your gut feeling,
Yeah,
and it's more
yeah,
like at times it's a guessing game, to be honest. It's like
right.
like you think they're gonna be good, but like maybe they
Doesn't
get to
pan
campus
out.
and
Yeah,
yeah, something. And then I mean I can count, more than a handful of times where like think there's a recruit that's gonna be really good. Maybe he has a number of stars and then, the guy that you get last in the recruiting class ends up being one of your best guys in that class. So and then when you mix in also the fact of like all right, yeah, I really like this kid and I want him to come here. Then all of a sudden he goes somewhere else and like you're talking to him for like months at a time and you're like, damn, okay, I guess I gotta coach against you for the next 4 years. And I think recruiting is so much harder, especially just with the number of kids that you see over the summer and
oh
Right,
yeah,
fall.
right, right.
And then you're just kind of like, oh, I forgot about that kid. And then you're like, damn, like I think recruiting is just like a whole nother juggernaut that people just don't realize how much you really put into it and how much of it literally is coaching. Like you're only
right,
coaching like in season for like 4 or 5 months. All the other
right.
months you're really trying to build for the future, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Have you ever had a recruit that you thought like, hey, we got this guy, our hooks are at him,
Oh my
offer
God.
whatever, and then all of a sudden he's like the one that got away, and then you
Yeah,
gotta
more
go, you got to go against him for however many years, or even if it's one game, and you're just like, damn,
dude, it's literally I mean, that happens more times than feeling good about guys. I feel
yeah.
like.
It's almost like an
I mean,
eerie feeling. You're like, it almost feels too good. right? And you're like,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
gotta be
It's
something wrong here,
Yeah, that went too smooth. What happened
Yeah,
here?
yeah,
yeah, literally. And it's I always like say like whenever people who aren't in coaching they ask like, does it feel weird that like literally, you know, 17-year-olds are literally like making your day go good or bad? And you're like, at times, yeah, it's a weird
Yeah,
concept.
when
'Cause,
you put it like that, right? You're scratching and go, wow, this is it, huh? Yeah, all right. My job is
yeah,
in the hands of that, 17 to 21-year-old. Like,
yeah.
you
Like
know,
I'm silent at dinner because Johnny decided to go elsewhere today after
yeah.
talking
right.
for 2 months. You're like, it's weird, but
Or after a loss or something like that, you're like, because Johnny didn't cut when the whole
yeah,
week we practiced cutting here at this time, or
yeah,
we didn't slide, and you're just like, I can't believe an 18-year-old kid just pissed me off so much that that I'm alone at dinner and I haven't said a word or eaten a thing yet.
yeah. It's honestly, Gabs gave me a really good point. It might have been at Bryant. But he was like, you have like a 60 to 90 minute window to be
Yeah,
like upset, and then you just actually have to flush it, and then like you can't let it like
100%,
ruin the rest of the night. So like being a
100%.
young guy, I remember just being like, can't believe we fucking like lost that game, like all
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
stuff. And then you're just like, okay, it's like 9 o'clock, the game's at noon. I should probably like get over this, you know?
Yeah.
So,
You gotta turn the
it's a good
page.
thought. Yeah, it's a good thought to
Move
have.
forward, but not move on, right? Like, we're gonna
Yeah,
move on. We're gonna remember it. It's gonna happen again. We're gonna see it. We're gonna learn about it, but we got to move forward and get ready for the next one.
right, right.
Um, so what's like the hardest conversation? We're gonna get real with it here. What's like the
Yeah.
hardest conversation you've had as a player, with a player as a coach? Like a difficult conversation. If you could say it here, obviously, you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah. Um, Honestly, I think exit meetings at the end of every year. I can't like pinpoint one, but it sucks mainly because as you guys know, like the transfer portal is getting more and more potent every year.
Yeah,
totally.
Spots are going down. And you know, it like you think of it as like, hey, like maybe like you should look elsewhere if you want to play, but then like actually
yeah,
having that thought of like, dude, we actually just like flipped that guy's world upside down, and he
right.
has to like basically go start over all the stuff just because you're probably not going to play here. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that's not us being like, like get out. It's more
Yeah,
like
yeah,
us saying like, if you want to play your 4 years of college, this probably isn't going to be the place for you just because, for whatever reason.
yeah,
But those never get easier. I experienced that for the first time at Bryant, and I was like, damn, that sucks. And then, you know, it just naturally happens with maybe like one or two guys every
yeah,
year just for multiple reasons. And yeah, those never get easier. And the main thing that I could do is just kind of like listen in with the staff, like the head guys that go about it. But, regardless of their playing time or anything like that, at the end of the day, like they decided to come here, they trusted in you. They want to be here naturally. And you obviously get to know the kid, you coach him every day. And then now it's like this isn't gonna work out. So it's a weird thing, and maybe that's just like the soft sensitive stuff coming out of me. But it's just like it's a conversation that I'm never gonna be comfortable
yeah.
doing. I don't think anybody is, but it's just
No,
yeah,
no.
I
I'm never
feel
gonna
like
be
no
able to get
matter
over
how
it.
long you do this,
Yeah, if you ever get comfortable in that, we might need to find something else to do. You know what I mean? You ever
Yeah,
get
yeah,
comfortable with that one,
exactly.
might be time to find something else.
going off the transfer portal though, like, do you think
Yeah,
that because that's more of a option nowadays, right, than from
yeah.
when you played, certainly when we played, do you think the transfer portal has made, like, recruiting high school guys less honest? And me not coming from you guys, meaning, like, you know, a kid might say, "Yeah, yeah, I'll come and accept an offer," and stuff like that, and then, maybe he didn't get the offers he wanted, and he's just gonna settle for something, kinda bounce after a year or 2. Like, do you think it's had that kind of effect where guys are just taking, whether it's lower Division 1 or 2 or 3 or
Yeah.
wherever, just taking that offer that's in front of them and then moving on?
Yeah. I think you're pretty naive if you think that, kids aren't thinking that way.
Yeah.
Um, I just think that you guys have probably heard of like the 5 for 5 rule now.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So like that's being voted on, stuff like that, and it looks like it's probably going to pass. I think that's only going to make the transfer portal even more,
Yeah,
um, more active. But you're seeing it more and more now. Like they're like, we're looking in the transfer portal for, not a lot of guys, like maybe like one or two spots that we might
for
need to
sure.
fill. But you just like look at guys, you're looking at names, you're like, dude, he just had like a great junior year
Yeah,
at
Right,
like
right,
a
yeah,
good like a mid seat like a good school, and then like he's just going in the portal.
yeah,
And like I'm looking at it more so from my perspective where I'm like, I could not imagine. It's one thing if you're like a freshman or a sophomore, you're not playing, but I could never imagine, like, especially like my time at Springfield, I wouldn't trade that for anything. And I couldn't imagine going through 3 years and just being like, what, yeah, I'm gonna try to go somewhere else for like my last year or two.
yeah, yeah.
So I just think it's just gonna be a part of the game. You naturally see it in other sports a lot more, in
right.
Do you feel
football,
like you have to
basketball, or
re-recruit your team a lot?
um
Or do you think we're like with the transfer portal, do you think like it and this 5 for 5 that it's not there yet, right?
I'll only speak personally. I don't think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we're gonna be dealing with that a lot. I think we're fortunate enough where guys want to be here. Guys, they come to UMass for a reason. We have a really selfless group. Honestly, we're really fortunate enough where we're having to have like the opposite end of the conversation where we're trying to like kind of see if guys want to go elsewhere if they know they're not going to play as much.
Yeah.
But we're not really dealing with like trying to hold on to guys as much.
Right, right.
So that's good in our
I
for
feel
our
like that's
part.
more
But
like the basketball world, right?
yeah,
Than
Not a
football.
and
knock on basketball, but like it just I feel like it is. Like you see I think I saw something online the other day, a guy played at 2 colleges, I think got drafted by like the Jazz, played for the Celtics, like in the lower leagues, and then
yeah,
is going back to school. And
yeah,
like that to
yeah,
me is wild, right? But like I feel like it hasn't hit lacrosse yet where
yeah,
where you have to kind of go like, hey,
yeah.
these
You
are our
don't have to
top 4
revamp the
guys,
roster.
like, have those hard conversations and you're thinking, is this sophomore, junior? He just started, 16
Yeah,
games or whatever it was, however many goals and got some accolades. Like, I don't think he's gonna go anywhere. I just don't know if it's hit our sport yet, or maybe I'm naive and it's
yeah,
hitting like the bigger dogs, right? Those big 4, big 5 guys.
yeah. I think you're slowly starting to see it a little more with like the mid majors trying to go like the ACC, Big Ten. Like you,
Yeah.
you probably have seen like some names that are already like kind of all over the media.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but I think it's just not as much as basketball, football, just because like the NIL money and all that stuff
Correct.
isn't that big of a factor yet. But we'll see. We'll see.
I think the
It's
unfortunate word we're using here is yet.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
Just the
yeah,
I
reality.
think
literally.
it's gonna it'll happen soon, and hopefully it doesn't. I guess, right? Because I mean, we're out like you said, right, with the recruiting, we're putting time into guys, and but I think unfortunately, I think the word here is yet, that 3-letter word that sometimes good, sometimes bad, and it's yeah,
Yeah,
you see it, you hear it, you're like, wow, that entire team on a different sport is in the portal. Like, how is
Yeah.
that coach is just recruiting out
yeah,
of the portal? Like,
Yeah.
and what does that do? What does that do to the recruiting world in other sports? I mean, we're talking lacrosse here, but what does that do to the
yeah,
recruiting world in other sports, right? Like,
Right.
how many new guys are you going to bring in as freshmen if you got to recruit, sophomores, juniors, seniors to fill your team and then go find how many freshmen? What does that do numbers wise? And I think if it ever hits lacrosse, that's where it'll be the most difficult part, because
yeah,
we're always on the road doing stuff and always seeing, you know, um, high school players play. If you're going to just sit there and play, where are you going next for a student athlete, and then how many kids are you going to bring in to go see 5? Because if you bring 12, 6 are going to be gone, and kind of see that
right.
game.
Muddies the waters.
Yeah,
It muddies the waters for sure.
yeah, yeah, no doubt. So hopefully it stays this way for a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, or for a long time. But yeah, it's like I don't know. You kind of just have to like roll with the punches. It's
For
like
sure.
you can complain all you want, but it's like what do you like if you're not gonna roll with it, like your team's not gonna be as successful is the
Right.
way that I
Correct.
look at it. So you kind of have to like keep up with the ways, regardless of
Take care
you
of the guys that
doing
are
the thing
still
you're
there
doing.
and pulling the rope
Right,
with you, right?
right, exactly.
So you've given us a breakdown of some head coaches that you've coached with, right? Um, you know, what's the best advice that a head coach that you've, I mean, worked for, right? Let's go with that route. Um, what's some of the best advice one of them has given you?
Honestly, I don't know
Yes,
why it
honestly.
clicked with. Do you want me to be honest there?
Yeah, I'd like that.
Love
We
for you
would
to be honest.
appreciate some honesty, but that's fine.
You
You know, it's
want
up
me,
to you if
you
you want
know,
to lie. It's up to you.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. You know what? I'll lie really quick, and then I'll tell you guys after. No.
All right, perfect. No, good.
um, I think Kyle actually told me this year, and I don't know why it clicked for me so easily, but this year, it's being bumped up to like more of that second assistant position, more responsibility and all that stuff. Um, I'll be the first to admit that like I was definitely overanalyzing a little bit, overthinking what I say in the moment, just because so much is yeah, like you only have so much time to explain like what you need to get across to the guys, whether it's film sessions and everything like that. And then uh we had a conversation after one of the games and he was straightforward with me and he literally just been like, dude, just literally focus on coaching the ball. Just like don't do anything else, but like the game, lacrosse, doesn't matter what position you're coaching, what side of the ball you're coaching, who you're coaching, what individual players, like literally the game. You are in this position for a reason. So just like coach ball. Don't worry about like the actual position or side of the ball you're coaching. And I don't know why that just made things so much easier. You know what I mean?
For
And
sure.
at the end of the day, it's just like that just kind of resonated with me being like, like we're literally just coaching lacrosse. I've been playing my whole life. I've been coaching now for 7 years. And at the end of the day, like we're just coaching a game. So it's like if
Yeah.
you can kind of put your own twist on it, be yourself. That kind of just made like a lot of things settle. So it's a simple sentence, but it's like
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know why that
No,
kind of
Kyle's
clicked and made
Kyle
it.
when we had our time at Merrimack, he's definitely walked me off or kept me from walking off a ledge a few times.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
I mean
and he's the same way,
that's why he's
right?
in the seat.
Right, and he's the same way. He's like, dude, yeah, the offense fucking sucked today, but it's like we got another
Brutally
game.
honest, right
Yeah,
to the
he's like, the
point.
offense sucked, or he's like, yeah, we we're not
We
winning
lost. We couldn't
face-offs,
shoot.
but
We shot like shit.
like
We lost. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's just like there's only so much you can control, but you gotta just focus on coaching the game, being yourself, and then just
Right.
kind of staying true to who you are.
Yeah.
So
For sure. For sure.
All right. So we just went over kind of what advice a head coach is giving you.
yeah,
What's the biggest like lesson that coaching has taught you as a person? You know, um, like you said, you've been to a couple different spots. The journey that you've gone on to get to this spot now at UMass Amherst. What's the
yeah.
biggest lesson the coaching has taught you?
Um, I would say that like just in life in general.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what can you
I
take
would
from coaching that you apply in like your life every day? You know,
I would
like,
just yeah. I would honestly just say that I would say more so like in the workforce and just like what you're doing in life. The reason why like all of us are in coaching is just because I think we have a passion for it. Um, and
absolutely.
like you actually don't get into it for like the money because there's obviously not a lot of money in it. But like,
I can't.
like
I'm so happy that that's recorded because I can't wait to just show my wife that and be like, "See, honey."
yeah,
Yeah, it's not just us saying
yeah.
it.
But like, I think my dad told me like, when I was thinking about getting into coaching because that was like part of it. I was like, well, it's like I'm not gonna be able to like either even take care of myself.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, regardless of like what you do, like you got to choose going into profession that you actually like have a strong passion for. Because like we probably all have friends that like have a desk job, they're probably making good
Oh
money, but
yeah.
they're like, I fucking hate Monday through Friday until I'm
Yeah.
out. So I don't know. I've never really had a doubt in my mind that like I'm not excited to go to work every day. I'm not excited to go out on the road, get on a call with a recruit, do whatever. So honestly, I think it just really taught me it's like no matter what outsiders think, what people have like a perception of you, whatever it is, like how they perceive you, like you just got to do what you really want to do. Because
Right.
like right now I just I have no regrets whatsoever. And, if you have a passion for it, it means you're going to work really hard at it. It means you're going to get better at it. And if you're not chasing something, that means you're kind of just a little stagnant. And I think like
Complacency
coaching is,
kills, man.
yeah, in
that's well
coaching, like
put.
Right?
That's
you're
well
always
put
chasing something,
hundred
so it's,
percent.
so
for
you're,
sure.
kind of always puts you in the driver's seat.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Kind of another maybe deep thought question, right? What's like what's something you took, actually, what's a moment, right? That because you coached at Wesleyan and then you went
Yeah.
right to Bryant, now UMass, right? So you changed levels, right? Divisions, we'll say. Like Wesleyan's phenomenal team, Division 3. Don't get me wrong, but jumping up that level and going to Bryant, or even maybe it happened at UMass, but like, what's a moment that you're like, wow, this is a new world. This is a different level. Because I mean, I've only been
Yeah.
at Merrimack. Oh, sorry, how I coached Division 3 for a year or two. Went to Merrimack. I've been here 10 years, and like I know I definitely have that moment going from D3 to D2. Then we elevate and we go D1, and just there's like that moment where you're just like, damn, like this is a new beast, right?
Yeah. I think it really was, the scouting and preparation for every team.
Yeah,
Um, like records are relevant, who like puts up points is irrelevant. Like Division 1 is literally like everybody's a Division 1 player.
yeah,
Anybody can beat anyone any given day. Especially just like in our schedule in our league, like the
for
level that
sure,
we're at.
for sure.
But I just think like every week was just like, dude, like, and you guys could probably attest to this, like D2, D3, like obviously there are top level games, but there are also like other games where you're like, we'll probably like roll this team, um, in a little bit, at times. And in Division 1, you're literally like, we we could win this game, but we could easily lose this game. And
Oh yeah,
I just think the
Every game's
preparation,
a rock fight, right? Like
yeah, yeah. And I
every
think,
single one.
and I've
yeah.
never
Like you were
felt,
probably thinking that when we were up, what 4-2 or 5-2 on
well,
you guys. No, I'm just
literally that's literally a perfect, that's literally like a perfect, example of it. Cause I remember like being, like watching you guys, watching the returners that you have, watching your face-off guy, all these things, and I'm
yeah,
like, we were like literally saying to them like, if you really want to like see how good they are, go watch them, like watch their film, and if
yeah,
you come out slow, they're gonna be gritty, they're gonna put, they have talented guys, and they're not gonna be afraid of you, and that first quarter really showed it, and I
yeah.
think that's an
That
example of,
felt like a like to us. I mean, right? Like we obviously know like knew your caliber of play and just watched you guys play Army, who we all know is big physical dudes and can play as well. And we're sitting
yeah,
there like these guys we're gonna learn really quick who we are.
yeah,
And credit
right,
to our guys, right? In I would say briefly in that game that they fought and played really well, and then beginning of the season kind of stuff, and you guys
yeah,
very talented team, and then you could start to see the tide shift a little bit. But nah, you're spot on. And you're spot on too. It's any
yeah,
day. It could be one bad quarter. It could be three great possessions that pull you away, right? Or
yeah,
four, two or three bad clears, or a dumb penalty, right?
yeah, yeah, and I think I've never actually, excuse me, I've never actually felt the feeling of like, all right, we are prepped, we are ready. I am like every situation that could possibly happen, like we're ready for, and like there's no way we lose this game, and then like you come away losing, and then you're just not. Like, I've never actually felt the feeling before until going into Division 1, where it's like there's no way we can lose this game with how prepared we are, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden, execution, like you said, one or
yeah.
two plays that don't go your way, then all of a sudden you're on the short end. But
That's all it takes,
yeah, but I think that's what makes, this level the fun part, just
for
being
sure.
able to be
Wins
in
are
those
hard to come by,
situations.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
winning is not easy.
Winning is not easy.
Everybody's got guys, everybody's got coaches, everybody's got scholarships at this level, and that's kind of the what makes it, like you said, like any given day.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, no
for
doubt.
sure. I got one more. I think George might have a question for you. Um, Seeing as I think everybody here knows, uh, and I know it's about assistants, but knows your head coach really well, right? Like I've coached with Kyle for many years.
Yeah.
George knew him as well, and we'd see him on the sidelines, and you're obviously there with him. If you had to describe Kyle in a few words,
Oh my God.
and I'm not putting you on the spot. Well, I am putting you on the spot, but
That's absolutely putting him on the spot. But that's fine.
Dude, well, okay, I'll say this. Before I give him, like, I hope, like, a nice backhanded compliment, I will say he is approachable, he's real, and he's a really good teacher.
yeah,
I think, like, and those three things really make it easy for guys to play for him.
yeah,
Um,
for sure,
and
man.
like what really just makes it, you just know like guys like want to play for him, and he has a really good mix of being straightforward, but also like a player's coach.
Yeah.
I will say this in the most complimentary way. He's literally the biggest masshole I've ever met in my life. Like, but
Oh,
I
geez.
say it in the most
Oh,
complimentary
boy.
way, where it's just like he's got like the mass slang. He's got like the mass humor. He's busting balls all the time, but that's what makes like The Office so great, and
Yeah,
why honestly I love working for him.
that,
Like I think it's a really good mix, and it makes for a really good environment in the office, and then
for
just
sure.
for the team in general. But yeah,
Makes
I
it
love it. Love the
easy to
guy.
go to work, right?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
So, kind of like a wrap up question here, with this podcast, we want it to kind of be not teaching tool, right? I'll put the air quotes around that. But we hope that people that want to get into coaching, players like yourself, right? That was a college player at school, thought about it, found an opportunity, jumped in. What's one thing every young coach should know?
Um, I would say I think in order to continue to build your resume, get the next job, I think you really have to buy into getting on the road, seeing as many kids as possible, and being like really buy into like being a good recruiter. Like I always had the thought of like, really good recruiters kind of shadow, like can kind of like cover up if like you're not like the best like coach or teacher, and like that's naturally going to develop as you're just doing it for a long time. You get more reps there, but if you can really buy into like getting on the road, seeing as many kids as possible, knowing as many names, identifying talent, all those things. Not only is that going to make you obviously like know the sport well and like bring in guys, but I think it's also going to open up your networking opportunities. Like so much of our sport is like through word of mouth, and
For
you
sure.
know, just like chopping it up on the sidelines and like being like, oh, I heard like this guy's leaving, is this position open?
Yeah.
Like, do you want like are you interested? It's like it's not like LinkedIn and like, oh, please look at my resume. It's like no, like this guy, it's literally like, yo, this guy's a good dude, and he like works
Yeah.
his ass off, and he'll be good for you guys, all that stuff. So I would just say like, literally, and especially when you have like no responsibilities, you don't have kids, you don't have a wife, you don't have like a house to take care of, like, dude, just like be out on the road as much as possible, and like just buy into that lifestyle, because that's only I think that was honestly one of the main reasons why I got the next job and was able to kind of get from D3 to D1, just because my name was out there. I was able to get a phone call, and
Yeah.
my opportunities kind of like fell into line. But
That's great, man.
Awesome, man. Well, listen,
yeah,
this has been great. Want to thank you very much for coming on and giving us some time today.
For sure.
We're like I said, we're fired up to get guys like yourself on here and kind of giving us your journey, giving us your thought, and getting the assistant coaches in the spotlight.
Yeah.
no, yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I think this is awesome what you're doing. Awesome for the sport in general, and then yeah, thanks for representing the assistant coaches. It's a small world, but yeah, had an awesome time, and thanks for chopping it up with me.
Awesome, man. Well,
Awesome,
we
man.
appreciate you. I'm sure we'll see you a couple weeks
Yeah,
on
yeah.
some
I guess
sideline at some
probably
place.
at the DE turf, maybe
That's
only,
it.
hopefully
At
only
least
once.
once or twice. At least once or twice.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Hopefully only once, but
Yeah.
We'll see.
Cole, thank you
Awesome,
very
man.
much, man.
Thanks,
We'll see you
brother.
soon. All right.
Appreciate
Travel
you.
safe.
all right, guys, appreciate it.
We'll see
Yeah.
you.